Hmm. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, whoever's having morning. Good afternoon, good day, good evening. This is Shirley Osborne, and this is day number 37 of my 45 days live. Day number 37. 45 is almost over. 45 is almost over, and I'm excited about what's next. I'm not quite certain what's next. I made a determination, I made a decision that I'll make a decision or I'll announce a decision in a couple of days. Today's Tuesday. I made a decision I would announce on Friday what will come after these 45 days. I've got a lot of requests for um, some sort of continuation. And I want to say, before I go any further, let me just say thank you, thank you, thank you. Because one of the interesting things that's happening is, you know, that I said right from the start that I would do them at different times of the day so that I could grab people in different time zones. So some people could watch it live at different times. And then I also changed time zone, and that changed some of my dynamics also. But what's been happening is that lots of people have been logging on afterwards, and the lives are, sometimes I'm on here and I might have maybe 15 people watching, and an hour later I've got 50. So the numbers are adding up, are racking up, and I am grateful to all of you. I thank you. This has been an amazing experience, and it has given me the opportunity not just to tell you some of my thoughts, but also to clear up some of my thoughts, because just preparing them to talk to you has very often helps me clear them up. Because of course, as life goes by and we have different experiences, our perspectives change, our experiences change how we think about particular things, and or even our mood for that day. And so talking to you, well, the discipline of every day doing a live has been quite interesting for me, and talking to you about what's going on, and being and observing how, even if I don't talk to you about what's going on when I'm doing the lives, how what's been going on in my day affects that. Because sometimes I come on here and I have exactly what I want to say, and sometimes I say that, and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I change. Sometimes I don't have anything specific written, and I speak about speak in the moment, and it's been a challenging and interesting experience. Challenging, not in a different sense, not in a difficult sense, not in the sense of difficult, but challenging because it's so new, and for me, uncharted. And so I'm grateful to all the people who watch live, and those who watch afterwards, who make it a point of watching afterwards and then send me notes and suggestions and questions, comments. And so in among those were quite a few suggestions and requests that I find a way to continue to speak like this. So we won't do them every single day, but perhaps we'll do them throughout the week. Maybe we'll just do them Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'll tell you that on Friday. I haven't quite decided. I'm working out my schedule now and figuring out how to make it fit, because I'm clear that it helps all of us. It helps all of us. And this is part of my work. The basics of my work is sharing what I know. One of my Chinese students said to me once that, "Ma'am, we are a Chinese proverb, and I'm sure it's present in many other cultures, is the things that we get in life, we are required to pass them on. All the good things, the benefits, the grace that we get to experience, we have an obligation to share it, to pass it on. Pay it forward is how some people say it. It's the same thing. Share it, hand it down. It's all the same. So last night we talked about the work of the Women's Leadership Circle, about the programs SQ, which is Special Support Services for Women, which I do for system involved women. And we also talked about the monthly, which is for the members. It's a really, really cool program, which we started a couple of months ago, in which the members, our membership, and the membership, is $50 a year. That's not an awful lot. It's $50 a year, so it's $4 and some cents a month. And we do the monthly circle. We have live chats. We have Q&As. We have specific workshops and so on. Most of which are included in the price of including your membership. Others, which are special ones, which would have a fee. However, the monthly is that every month we pay forward a portion of membership fees to one or two or three, however many women, depending on how many on the membership. We pay forward something to members, active members who have a special request, a special requirement, a special demand, an unforeseen demand, or who want, for example, to take a course or start a small business or something like that, or even just take a break, go to the spa for a weekend, even just for a day. That's what the monthly is. So I want you to go on the website, shirleyosborne.com, check it out and see all the amazing benefits we have for the members themselves, for the edification and the development and the growth of members, and also opportunities, the monthly and SQ, the opportunities for members to make a difference in the world around them. That is really important. The Women's Leadership Circle is part of me making a difference in the world around me, and it just makes sense to me that I use this avenue to support other women in doing that. And so that's why we talk a lot about being strong, being fearless, or close to that, having the courage, the will, the courage, the clarity, the determination to stand up, be heard, make a change, lead your own life, lead the life that most inspires, motivates, and fulfills you, and support other people, especially women, in finding that. And last night we talked about that. So tonight, I was going to continue that conversation, but tonight instead, what we're going to do, last night in the conversation, a couple of people popped in, and we decided tonight we're talking about men. Let's talk about men. When we talk about women's leadership and women's success and empowerment, the issue of men always comes up, and always, often, most often, very often, too often, it's made to be a conflict. It's women against men. It's women want to take over and emasculate men and all kinds of things, to say all kinds of things. And I'm sure there are some women who want to do that, but for the majority, the fundamental principle is not that. The important thing is not taking over from men, not dismissing men. The important thing is empowering women, and empowering women, we are clear, empowers everybody else. And so that's what we wanted to talk about tonight. Why it is good for men, how it is good for men that women are empowered and successful. And, you don't need anybody to tell you, I don't think, how much pressure men are under to be a man, to be strong and bold and brave and always in charge and be the decider. And many, many men I know would rather not have that happen. Hey, many men I know would rather not have that kind of pressure. They take it because it's what society has created for them. Like society has created for women that we should be submissive and cute and pretty and helpful and kind and all those things. The same pressures are on men. Men are taught, for example, and I say men, I mean men all over the world. This is not specific. Hello there. Hello, handsome man. Men all over the world are taught that men are supposed to be in charge. There are very few societies, very few communities where that is not so. But men are supposed to be in charge. Men are supposed to make the decisions. Men are not supposed to cry. Men are supposed to be tough. That puts a lot of pressure on men. I've seen men at their mother's funerals who were reluctant. They're fighting really hard to hold it in because as a man, you're not supposed to, quote unquote, break down. The thing is that when in teaching boys to grow up to be men who check their emotions so strongly. Now, of course, we all want to be able to control and manage our emotions so that, adults do that. When you're mature, you learn to do that because it helps you to 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 survive and to continue to be, to be, what's the word, to be in command of your space and your time and your being. Yeah, so you don't fall out on the floor bawling because, you know but you experience, you acknowledge your grief, your pain, your loss, your sadness. Boys are taught not to, boys don't cry. How many times have you heard that said? So that's when they grow up to be men who, when they feel pain, they don't cry. But of course, pain has to come out some other way. So how does it come out? They lash out at somebody. That's what this does to men. Or they feel pain and so they shut down and are unavailable to the people who love them. Or they hold it in and it comes out in some vice or other. That's pressure for men. The pressure of being always the person in charge, the one who gets to make the decisions, the one who has to be responsible for everybody else. Most men don't want that. They really don't. But they take it on and they pretend that they want it and they adopt it because it's expected of them. And then we have what we have. Those jokes about men who don't communicate are not jokes. They're reality. Because men are not supposed to talk about their emotions. And so if you don't get to talk about your emotions, talk about what you feel, talk about what's going on with you, then you don't get to process them. You don't get feedback on them. You don't get love and support for them. So when women are feeling sad and we say we're sad, and women hug one another and look up for one another and take care of one another, guys don't do it. They're patting on their back. Hey, it's gonna be all right, man. We got, they do all that nonsense. It doesn't help them. That is not helpful. I have a friend who has he's a medical specialist and has his own practice and so on, and so therefore has a very full, busy life in which he has to make decisions. He's the senior partner, and like I said, he's a specialist doctor. So he makes decisions. He has to walk people to be responsible for people's serious illnesses and talking with family members and the patients and so on about serious interventions, medical interventions. And he says, Shirley, when I go home, I don't want to be making decisions. My wife makes decisions, and I think it is perfectly fine. Her job is not as stressful as mine, and so she has adopted that, and I'm perfectly happy with that. There's another friend of mine, a woman who has a very high-powered job, and her husband also, and so they share. She's not the one who always organizes the social calendar. He does too, when they're going out, when they have places to go, people to meet, things to do and see. He helps. He also organizes vacation time and time with the children, just like she does. And her money supports the household. It's not just his money, because there are many, many families around the world in which the only person who actually goes out to earn money is the man, because that's what the men do. Women are supposed to stay at home and be taken care of, like children. And so think about this. The man goes out and he has a stressful day at work trying to earn this money and making, and then he goes home and people are leaning on him to make the decisions. And how much pressure is that? How much pressure is that? So if women are empowered, men get to just be free and be themselves and feel the things they feel, express the things they express, and experience the whole wide range of experiences, of opportunities that are there, opportunities for love and intimacy and friendship and companionship and grace and openness and creativity. I saw a photograph. There was a fashion show, and you know how when they have fashion shows, many fashion shows are not They're not clothes meant to be worn. It's a show. And so the lines, the shapes, the things are exaggerated for the show, and then they're toned down and managed for sale. And anyhow, in this particular show, there were men wearing skirts, and there were all kinds of comments. And I thought, so men wear skirts, African men wear things that some people call dresses. The Scotsmen wear things that some people call skirts, and they're men and they're manly. An African man in his robes is manly. So what's the problem with skirts? But it's just that. It's just that. Because the rules for men are so restricted, so constricted, girls get to wear shirts, pants, boots, jackets, ties if we want to. Men come from other cultures into the Western culture, for example, and clothes that are normal, sarongs, wraps, that men wear in Southeast Asia, for example, they couldn't wear in certain parts of the world because that's not manly. Men must wear pants because men must behave and look a certain way. That doesn't help anyone. So anyway, I went looking for some other thoughts on this, because to me, that's the biggest one, taking the pressure off men to always be the one in charge, always be the one making decisions, always be the one responsible for everybody. That for me is the biggest thing. But I went looking to see what I could find, and I found this article that said 5 ways men benefit from women's empowerment. It's written by a man, William Petrocelli, and he says, what's the most important thing men can do for themselves? He says, the answer seems clear to me: work for the empowerment of women. He says that for the last 20 years, he's been describing himself as a feminist, and that sometimes raises eyebrows. Women sometimes look at him skeptically, thinking maybe he's grabbed a phrase that he knows only a little bit about. And the fact of the matter is, not many people truly understand feminism. If they did, they would not be so resistant to it. But anyway, he says men often take his being a feminist as an indication that he has abandoned the team, and they want him to use it as a pickup line. He says he's reached a point where feminism has become the intellectual framework that he looks to first in analyzing political, economic, and social issues. He thinks the empowerment of women is crucial to solving a lot of seemingly unrelated problems that are as important to men as they are to women. He wanted to explore this idea without being preachy, and so he went looking. And he has found out that the idea that empowering women will help us all, he has come to accept and understand that empowering women will help all of us, men almost as much as women. And he says, once you come around to this idea, you begin to see the impact of it in all kinds of places. And he speaks of things, for example, he says one of the things is women are much better at dealing with certain problems because we've been conditioned to do certain things. And so when certain problems arise, instead of men having to twist themselves into all kinds of pretzels, get a woman on the job. He says the clearest example is overpopulation. For years, governments tried all kinds of programs to reduce excessive birth rates that were undermining economic well-being. None of these top-down programs worked. The only thing that has worked has been the empowerment of women, because where women are empowered, women choose when to have babies and choose how many babies to have, and so they can manage their families better. They can train their children better. They have, they can use their resources. Their resources are much more effective, much more. They spread more helpfully is the term I want to think. But in countries where women are not allowed to do that, we have huge families that people have real difficulty managing. There's a lot of poverty, a lot of abuse, and all of those things. And so that's one of the reasons why this whole abortion issue in the United States is such a big deal, because it's reducing the power of women to manage our lives, and therefore and therefore be able to support everybody else, to really support everybody else. He says that there are some situations that could be improved just by the presence of women. And I can tell you that myself. Probably about 5 years ago maybe, I was a Speaker of the House, and I was at I paid a visit to the the Parliament, the House of Commons in England. And in one conversation with some parliamentarians, some British MPs, we were talking about women in politics, and I asked them about, you know, women coming into Parliament, and the men were very, very forthcoming. Actually, many of them, all of them, actually said women coming in helped. It helped with the issues, but it also helped them manage their behavior better. Now, there are people who say that the House of Commons is just, it's a madhouse. It's you know, so fancy that. They are behaving better now. Since women have come in, the behavior has improved. If it's this bad, can you imagine what it must have been when the women were there? The American House of Representatives also, American Congress, studies have been done that show that when women, the women in Congress work across party lines much, much more than the men do. And you know the challenges, what's acrimony almost that is between those two parties. It has shown up in other countries, in India, in many other countries. The studies have shown that women, when women are in office, when women are elected to Parliament, the issues that they push are issues that help everybody. It's health and education and social support and the environment and you know, those kinds of things. Whereas men who are taught to be the people that, you know, so they go the big things. They want to build roads and build buildings, which are all very nice, but the big buildings don't really help with education, if you want to put it that way, if you think about it that way. Yeah, it doesn't help the immediate, intimate issues that people are dealing with. When women are in office, those become priority. He also thinks that women's empowerment is good for the economy and the environment. Studies have shown, Forbes magazine has done this, Harvard Business School has done studies on this, and they have proven that when women are in charge of companies, the companies do better. When the boards of companies have more women on them, the revenue increases, profits increase. This study is done by organizations and companies. Catalyst does a lot of work on this issue also, and they found that. Investment firms have found that when women are deeply involved, when women have high-level jobs, responsibilities in investment companies, the ROI increases. People make more money. In things like the courts, women tend to be much more careful, much more thoughtful about both crime and its consequences. And they consider mitigating circumstances in ways that men don't. So all of these are ways that when women are empowered, when women have leadership positions, when women are allowed to make decisions, it benefits everybody. It benefits people all across the board. And when people all across the board benefit, men's lives are easier. And then the last thing I want to say is, the other thing for me is I wonder, well, I don't wonder, because I know men have been taught about relationships. If you're taught to always be the one in charge, then you don't see relationships with women as equal partnership. And therefore you miss the opportunities for intimacy, for beauty, for grace, for love, for all kinds of good sex, all kinds of wonderful things. Literally, you do. And so when I speak of this, I always ask men, so what sort of relationship do you want with the woman in your life? You want somebody just come home to, she cooks food, she feeds you, she puts your socks away, she irons your shirts, you knock her about, and or wouldn't you prefer somebody who, when you come home, you can have a conversation with, you can laugh with, you can play with, you can experience joy and happiness and love and tenderness and intimacy with? But of course, men are taught to resist tenderness and intimacy because men don't do that. And so you miss out. It really is that basic. When women are empowered, this shows up in their relationships. because they demand certain things in relationships, and the men either step up or they don't have the relationship. And that works for the men because the men enjoy that. There's not a man that I know who has this kind of relationship who does not enjoy it. I know quite a few of them. They love that the woman in their life is someone they can literally laugh with and play with and muck about with and be serious with and have deep, serious conversations about finance and about the world and about politics and about philosophy and religion and whatever else there is. It doesn't have to be only with the boys. Because think about this. At 1 o'clock in the morning, when you wake up, pillow talk doesn't have to be oohs and ahs and good conversation in the middle of the night. Good conversation, deep emotional connecting conversation at 2 o'clock in the morning. I can tell you from experience, there's nothing like it. Men enjoy it. Those men who are allowed to allow the women in their lives to be empowered enough to have that kind of relationship. So I want to impress on all of you, men and women. Impress upon the men. Men, impress upon yourselves how much less stressful, because of course you know that heart attacks and men, I don't need to tell you those statistics, right? Suicide and men. So I want to impress on you the importance, the beauty, the wonder, the fulfillment of letting the women in your lives just be all of the woman, all of the human being they could possibly be. Let them explore and have their rights, their desires, their requests, their ambitions, and they support yours. Your life is improved exponentially when women's lives are improved. It's that simple. So support them, support the women in your lives, and allow them, just watch how your life improves. Your life, just try it and see. Try it and see. That's one of the things we do at the Women's Leadership Circle. Those are the kinds of women that we are at the Women's Leadership Circle. Women who, yeah, and therefore want men who, and support men who, and the world just becomes a better place when people are loving one another, enjoying one another. People are allowed to feel and express and share, and in sharing things, some things magnify and other things are soothed. Yeah, we double the time we scheduled for these talks. What about it? Talking about men. Men take up so much time. It's beautiful time. I'm really glad this popped up last night, and I'm thankful to a couple of men who literally reached out to me individually and said, yeah, do that. Because I said on the live what we should do tomorrow, and then a couple of men called and said, yes, you really should. I hope that I have explained myself. I hope you understand what I mean and that you can use it to make a difference in your life. See, some of you on here I know who are really good men. I want you to have really, really beautiful relationships with the women in your lives and the men in your lives. Because when you're good, when you're happy in your other relationships and you have a loving, empowering, supportive relationship, you have even more fun with your friends when you go to drink beer and watch sports and all that kind of stuff. Yes? So thank you for hanging out with me this evening. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow night, tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow. I think tomorrow's Wednesday. I'm doing it earlier tomorrow, actually. So it'll be more like 6 o'clock our time, Eastern time now, which is 3 o'clock Pacific time. I'm still having to adjust, and which is the middle of the night in Europe and some parts of Africa. But again, lots of people catch it on the replay, so I'm happy about that. I'm grateful. Even if you can't catch it live, you catch it on the replay. The important thing is that information goes out. Send me your comments, your suggestions, your recommendations, your thoughts on this, because we're going to be talking about men. We talk about men all the time, women do. And we'll be talking about men some more, and we'll be talking to men and with men on many other occasions as we build out the Women's Leadership Circle. So thank you all very, very much. Have yourselves a wonderful day, pleasant evening, sweet dreams if you're just going to bed. And until tomorrow, take good care.